Hey, what's going on YouTube? Ella here, coming in with another deck profile. This one's going to be on Infernoble. I know last time I did speak about putting a deck profile with the Rev Syncron. I actually kind of pivoted away from that just because it wasn't as consistent as I wanted it to be. And on its own, Rev Syncron doesn't facilitate a full combo, so you need to open up Rev Syncron plus Extender to be able to actually make the board broken. Which when you do, it's really broken, which is super good, but if you don't, then you just end up on a subpar board, and I'd rather just play more consistent with more extenders and ways to be able to play through hand traps rather than the Rev Syncron build. But nonetheless, here's the deck profile. Let's get into it. We're playing the connector package. Not a lot to say. Dolphin is insane. Just hand knowledge. Having hand knowledge is probably the best thing in Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm not gonna lie. Knowing what to play around, how to play it out, and what you need to negate and what you don't need to negate just helps out so much. That's why I think this package is entirely necessary. All Connector's job is to either eat the Ash or rip the Droll. That's literally its two functions in this deck. And the fact if it does resolve both, you're just gonna full combo. For the Infernobles, I'm playing triple Ogier. This is probably the second best normal summon next to Connector. Connector is obviously stronger than this, but this at least facilitates a combo starter or a full combo in many cases, because you're almost always going to open this with some form of extender. And I'm only playing the 2 Renaud. I think 2 Renaud is fine. You don't really need 3. I've seen some people even cut this down to 1. It's perfectly fine if you do. There's not an issue with that. All you really need to use this for is either an extender or to end up on Baron for the end board. I'm kind of same with Oliver. I've seen people cut him to 1. I think it's still fine keeping him at 2. I like the fact that he can turn into an extender sometimes. You just pitch off an equipped and then you're able to play the game again. Or, like I said, end on that Baron. That makes it the strongest board at the end. Lastly, for the one-ofs, Magius, Turpion, and Richie. Richie's super strong. The more I've used this card, the better I like him. I wish I could bump him up to 2, but at the same time, he's not full combo on its own. So keeping him at 1 is probably the best option, if I'm being honest. But I have liked him. He has so much utility. I always forgot about the Banished in Hand Special Warrior, which has came up more often than not now that I remember. And I've learned a whole lot of different lines as well with this deck. That helps out a lot to play around hand traps. But that's all the Infernoble cards are actually playing in main. I know it's a bit of a smaller package, but this is essentially all you need to be able to full combo and make that end board every time. Which is crazy how small the package is, but this is all you need. I'm only playing the necessities. I did cut this deck down to 40 cards, which I am trying. I haven't tried, but I'll probably record a couple games for weekend locals. Lastly, for the last Fire Warrior monsters, we got a Gearfried, a Fireflint, and a Red Lair. Gearfried's Gearfried, there's not a lot to say. He's insane of a card going second, and even ending on him is really strong as well. Fireflint Lady, extender, Red Lair, kind of a free extender at the start. But Red Lair plus Connector means you're at least ripping 2 cards, which is insane to me. Because you just always want to, well, you're going to special this first, Normal Summon Connector, Connector Dolphin. Dolphin, rip a card. Then once you get into the Soul Day line, you're going to use Dolphin and, what's his face, Red Lair. And then at some point in the combo, you're just going to Connector out. As soon as you dump the Phoenix Blade, dump again for the Connector or for the Dolphin to resolve, and you're just going to rip another card. Just because having a 2k body on field while you're ripping means you could actually rip some of the starters that are above 1500 attack and not just a hand trap. Obviously you want to prioritize hand trap, but if they only have board breakers and hand traps, even if they have the board breakers and you rip them twice, they're not going to have a starter to be able to play the game. They still got to play around your board, unless you get Dark Ruler, then you get Dark Ruler, but you rip their starter, so I guess that's kind of the thing it facilitates. Sorry about the proxy, but at my last case tourney, I did lose a Droll. Yeah, I never got it back. I didn't even notice it until I started putting this deck together because I didn't play Yu-Gi-Oh! For like about a week after that. Fortunately, I didn't top that case tourney. I was still on Sprite. But nonetheless, yeah, triple Droll is the only hand trap we play. It just helps hinder boards. Helps stop a lot of decks that set up big boards like Manadamium. All the mid-range decks you could probably play through with enough gas. That's one thing I've noticed. This deck is just still all gas, which makes it super fun to play with. I love just having options to be able to go for different lines and playing around different things, but you do need to sometimes slow down your opponent, and that's why I think Droll is the only necessary hand trap to play in main. Onto the spells, of course, we're playing Triple Museum. This card's insane. Yeah, not a lot to say. This card helps out the deck so much and lets it extend and gives it more consistency and options to be able to play the game. For the Eclipse, I'm playing Double Durandal, Almus, Joyous, DDR, that's insane as well. But actually, the best thing I've done was rip 3 with Connector, or I guess not Connector, with Dolphin. And yeah, that's all I can say. Getting 3 cards ripped doesn't feel good. I'm so glad you can still kind of do it in this deck, but DDR plus Phoenix Blade, that's a free body on board essentially. I'm only playing the 2 Durandal. 5 Eclipse is all we really need to play. Like I said, I was playing the 3rd, but I cut it down to 40 cards just to make it a little cleaner, more consistent. And this is probably the build I'm gonna play going forward until I figure something else out that I like. But yeah, these are all the Equips you need. Lastly, we got Triple Heritage and the Rota. Yeah, there's either 3 terraformings or 4 rotas, whatever you want to look at it. This can add you field spell. A lot of people don't do that, and a lot of people don't go for that play, but it's actually insane when you don't have to go to Angelica just because you have a heritage and full combo plus extender in hand. You can just end up making the same end board, so that's why I think it's not necessary to play more than 1 Angelica either. You'll see that once I get to the extra deck, but yeah, lastly for our defensive cards, we got double triple tactics and 1 called by. Not a lot to say. Sometimes you do get drolled and you can't do anything about it. You got to play into the droll, unfortunately, with this deck. And if you see a talents, at least you're able to have that hand knowledge, rip a card, either ripped or starter, or the board breaker if we're able to set up something super subpar. I'll show you what my options are in case it happens. Lastly, for our last go and second or defensive cards, we're playing Dark Ruler. I do want to kind of swap this out for a Book of Eclipse just to try it out. Sometimes I have gone anti-spelled and there's just nothing I can do about it, unfortunately, but Dark Ruler is still a good card. It's helped me more in game 1s than game 2s or 3s, but yeah, game 1s, if I'm going second and I resolve Dark Ruler, they're just going to lose because this deck has more than enough gas to break a board. And that's the only thing I like about it. Like I said, I'm just glad the deck is full gas and you're able to push through a whole lot of interruptions, or if you're just Dark Ruler, you're able to crack an entire board. Starting on the extra deck, double Charles. Not a lot to say about that. He's Charles. 1 Angelica. I know some people play 2 in the pure build. I think it's fine at 1, to be honest with you. Like I said, if you got Heritage, and sometimes you just open up full combo, you're able to search the field spell, where I just like going into Roland just because you get the free advantage on the end phase to be able to add an additional card. And you could just end up on Roland and sing combo essentially, because you already have field spell in hand. Or you could just go into Angelica still and have double field spell, but sometimes there's not a lot really you can do with that because you do get warrior locked. And it's not like if you go into this and get double field spell, it's not like you could pivot into an Appaloosa or anything like that. But that's all the synchros we play. That's all you really need, in my opinion. For the links, we're playing double Isolde. Isolde's insane. It's a good card. I'm so glad to be able to play it again. Then double Emperor Charles, just because you need to play it. I think 2's fine, if I'm being honest. Always ending on 2 is necessary. I've never been able to set up a board where I end on 3, so I don't think the 3rd is necessary. Then 1 Appaloosa. Appaloosa's Appaloosa. It's really easy to pivot into an Appaloosa and then end on full combo still. Or at least like a subpar combo plus Appaloosa in case you see a super poly or something like that and you don't want to set up double Charles or leave the Isolde up to get super polyed with the Charles. Oops. Then 1 Power Load, 1 Raten, and 1 Ferocious Flame Swordsman. Raten does come up a lot more than I thought he would have. His just battle phase effect and his ability to be able to special summon out from your hand is kind of crazy. Flame Swordsman. This guy, I think it's cuttable. He could probably get swapped for something else. I haven't really used him as much as I thought you would. There was one time where you do the neat thing where you pitch a Gear Freed, then attack Crash, this special out Gear Freed, and then start stealing things and breaking the board. But it's only happened once, to be honest with you, and I guess I got lucky that it even resolved, because my opponent like questioned it and he still had a negate. Any good player would have just negated it and be like, oh no, I'm not gonna let that happen. But yeah, then we got for the XYZs, Artorgus and one Baguska. And Baguska I really like in here just because sometimes, like I said, he do eat the droll. And I'll just pivot into making a Baguska. If I do see Connector and I see there's no board breakers, I'll pivot into Baguska. In case I have no gas, or if I get stopped mid-combo, you could always just pivot into Baguska as long as you don't warrior lock yourself. You'll be fine. Artorgus, not a lot to say. The lines with him are crazy. Just being able to pivot into him, and then the Spell Trap Pop effect as well goes crazy against your back row decks. But that's about it for the deck profile. There's a lot of things I would still change. There's a lot of issues with the deck still, unfortunately, but hopefully we just get like a little wave of support or anything else to be able to help it a little more. It has been a super fun deck though, I'm not gonna lie, to play and get back into. But any suggestions, always appreciated if you leave them in the comments. Feel free to like and subscribe if you liked the video. Yeah, that's about it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video. Thanks.